Yes, LinkedIn. I was having a very interesting conversation with my father-in-law to be, and he is not from an IT background, and he obviously does his best to understand exactly what it is that I do from a career perspective. And he was asking me a very valid question: why don't why don't you, as a recruiter, why don't you work on a broader range of roles as opposed to specialising in one area? And I thought it was actually a really good question, and one that is quite simple in my mind, but a lot of people might not understand it, so hence why I thought I'd make the video. The reason for specialising in one area, there's lots of reasons actually, not just one, but I've actually worked in both scenarios. I've worked as a generalist when I first moved to Australia, when I first moved to Sydney. The way that our team was set up at the time was that we were just going after any IT role, basically, that nobody was specialised in one area. So it was all about get some jobs on and fill some jobs and make some money. Now what that basically meant inevitably was that it was an absolute nightmare, because you never covered the same ground twice. We were filling project manager roles, then an architect, then a software developer, then a network engineer, then a business analyst. So we were never covering the same ground twice. What that means is we were never building up a depth of knowledge with a particular pool of candidates, and we were always starting from scratch. So we weren't really working smart. We were just basically, it was like starting a recruitment desk from scratch every single time you worked on a role, which meant you were knackered. As a specialist in one area, what happens is you build up a deep level of knowledge in one particular area. So for instance, Digitalent specialise in software, anything software related, so software developers of all shapes and sizes, contract and perm, and we also do the creative side of software, so UX design, visual design, UI design, that type of thing as well. And when you work in one area all the time, especially in one location, you build up a really good network of people, so you understand who's good in the market, who the best people are, when they're available, what the salary levels are, what the good companies to work for, what the bad companies are to work for, etc. You don't get that with being a generalist, because you're basically just working roles and it's all about bums on seats effectively. So as a specialist, it makes your job a lot easier, because let's say, for example, if you have a client who's in Manchester and they're looking for a .NET developer in January, you put a hell of a lot of work into covering that market and understanding who the best people are in the market in January. Then a different client comes to you in March and is looking for a similar skill set. You've already covered that ground from a candidate perspective, which means that you can move quicker. Speed is the game, in terms, especially if it's a contingent recruitment search and you're up against 2 or 3 other agencies. It's all about finding the best people as quickly as possible, even more so on the contract side. So that makes your life a hell of a lot easier if you are a specialist, a deep specialist in one area. What I would say as well is that what we do isn't easy for someone who's a generalist in IT, even from outside of IT. If you're just a sort of generalist recruiter, it's nigh on impossible for that type of person to pick up a software development role with all of its acronyms and buzzwords and technologies and ASP.NET and C# and Java and AngularJS, React.js, and people don't necessarily understand what all of that means. So what they do, if you don't understand software or software development recruitment, is your keyword matching, and that's not a particularly good route to go down, because you really need to understand the depth of technical understanding of each candidate to understand if they're a good fit for your role, especially when you're thinking about are they junior, mid, senior, are they worth the money that they're asking for, do they fit my client's requirements, do they have this type of technology, and if not, what's the best Because a lot of the time as well, our clients come to us with a wish list, and we have to manage their expectations by pushing back to say, you're not going to get that, and that. How about you replace those 3 skills with these 3 technical skills, which are very, very similar, and see if you can work with that and work to a compromise. That's pretty much impossible if you're a general recruiter as well. So that's why we like to stick in our, stay in our lane. That's why we are passionate about software developers. We're passionate about software development in general. We really understand it. I've got a degree in information systems and I understand it to, you know, a very good level. So I hope that answers the question for anyone out there who's maybe, you know, sort of has the question of why do recruiters specialise in one area. You know, it just inevitably leads to more business as well, which is another good point, because when you work with a brand new client, as soon as you speak to them, as soon as you meet them face to face, you build trust and you build confidence, in yourself, you know, from the client's perspective, when you know what you're talking about, when you can push back on some of the technologies, for example, when you understand how their team is structured, you know, when you understand that they're working in a cross-functional agile environment and what that means, and, you know, you understand scrum teams and all the rest of it. You know, that really builds trust and confidence, and what it means is if you do a good job for that client, they will inevitably come back to you, and therefore being a specialist ultimately leads to more business.